Socialists are strange. They go to protests, which they film on their iPhones, thanks capitalism. They call for the overthrow of Australia, thanks freedom of speech, and rage about how horrible Australia is, even though thousands have sought refuge here fleeing socialism and millions have moved here for a better life. But anyway, on Friday, I went back to my alma mater, Sydney University, to check out the Socialist Convention and try to get some answers. This is how it went. Do you want to have a chat about socialism?
No, thanks.
No? Why are you here today?
She's from Sky News. I wouldn't engage.
Does anybody want to talk? Have you come to this conference to not talk about socialism? Because I'm trying to talk to anyone, but no one's down for a chat.
It's a shame. Don't really feel like it.
You know, it actually felt a lot like true socialism because there was no freedom of speech and no one would dare talk to me because I wasn't from approved media. While they couldn't give me any answers, I'm hoping my next guest might. Each week, I'll be taking on someone with opposing views. We want to break out of the echo chamber and have some real heated debate. So joining me tonight is Jordan van der Lam, Senate candidate for the Victorian Socialist Party. Thank you so much for joining me, Jordan. It's nice to be with you this evening. Jordan, you make videos about bad rental properties, things like kitchens being unfinished or bathrooms in poor conditions, even apartments in people's garages. But isn't that just the free market at work? No one is forcing anyone to rent these properties.
Yeah, it's the free market at work, which is why it needs to be destroyed.
Right. So if you eliminated private rental properties, how would anyone rent at all?
Well, those properties wouldn't go anywhere. They wouldn't just disappear. We could just live in them. That's how it should work.
But how would you have any pricing mechanism? Because I would love to go live in a $10 million house in Toorak or the eastern suburbs, but that's just not possible. You have to have some sort of market to arrange things.
No, you don't. You just absolutely don't. Like, that's the least efficient way to arrange things. It's the least efficient distributor of need. I think, yeah, it's pretty clear that, you know, your main concern is how would people make profit instead of why would, like, it's a way to stop 10,000 people experiencing homelessness every month in Australia. Like, yeah, we just don't need markets for human need.
But markets are an efficient way of distributing things. Yes, they are.
How would they? If a market's an efficient way of distributing something, then why do we have more than 100,000 empty properties in the Melbourne metropolitan area alone, while we have less than 30,000 people approximately in the entire state of Victoria experiencing homelessness? Why do we have, you know, Coles and Woolies throw away tons and tons of food every day while hunger levels in Australia are increasing faster than we've ever had on record? Like, that's just not correct. That's wrong.
Well, what would be the incentive for anyone to build? Because I accept there are vacant properties, but there are a number of reasons for that. If you're moving between homes, a property might be vacant for a period of time. If it's on the market, if it's waiting for someone to rent it out, there are plenty of reasons for vacant properties. But the fundamental drivers of the housing market are supply and demand. Currently in Australia, we have constricted supply because we have an unproductive construction industry. There's a lot of red tape and government regulations.
Yeah, there's too many bureaucrats in construction, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we can agree on that. That's a good thing. So I would say you slash that, slash red tape.
Yes,
and then
slash the bosses in construction and let us build stuff. Absolutely. Let the workers earn more for the work that they're doing and get rid of the bosses. 100%.
So who would be building stuff then?
Workers.
But
workers build stuff. Who builds stuff now?
Well, workers need to be managed by businesses.
Like, a planned economy is the way to do stuff. That's just how it should work.
When has a planned economy ever worked?
Plenty of times. Plenty of times.
Give me an example.
Anytime that we get anywhere close to building a planned economy, capitalism and the market spends billions and billions of dollars mobilizing forces to destroy it.
But I would say red tape, which we've both agreed is an issue, the over-regulation of the construction industry, that is an example. I don't think it's the over-regulation. That's an example of the planned economy.
I don't agree with that. It's not the over-regulation of the construction industry. It's the over-representation of bureaucrats in the construction industry, bureaucrats as well as bosses. Get rid of the bosses, get rid of the bureaucrats, and like the regulations that exist are so that houses don't fall down and so that people don't die. Those regulations are important. I want to live in a building that's not going to fall on me, like the Mascot Towers and stuff like that. I want to live in a building that is nice, good quality, beautiful, accessible, like something that's not going to kill me because of black mold, because of poor construction. But I don't want to live in a building that I can't afford.
But the bureaucrats that are in the construction industry have increased in direct proportion with the regulation and red tape that's been put on the construction industry.
I mean, sure, yeah, there's a way that you can argue that, but like that's not the reason that bureaucrats and bosses increase. They increase because they can profit more. That's the direct correlation, the more direct correlation.
But that doesn't really make sense, because if you're a construction firm and your motivation is to make profit, why would you be employing unproductive bureaucrats to sit there and paper shuffle when you could be employing more workers who could build more stuff and make you more money?
They're the bureaucrats. The bosses are the bureaucrats.
But without the bosses, nothing gets built.
That's not correct. That's just not correct.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. But anyway, let's move.
The Opera House, the Sydney Opera House was completed under workers' control. Like no bosses. They literally kicked the bosses offside.
Again, you are yet to give an example of any country in the
Sydney
world
Opera
where
House.
socialism
There you
has
go, the Sydney
actually
Opera House.
worked.
There's an example.
Maybe you could do it for one
Sydney Opera
building,
House.
but it couldn't work for the entire economy at all.
All
But
right.
let's
If you
move on
say
now,
so.
because I think we could be here absolutely all night
Probably,
debating
yeah.
socialism. But when
Absolutely.
the government moved to announce its intentions to recognise Palestine a couple of days ago, you tweeted on X that how about we unrecognise Israel? Isn't that a little bit unfair, given Israel is the only homeland of the Jewish people, and history has taught us what happens when they don't have a state? Do you truly believe Israel shouldn't exist at all?
Well, I think no state has a right to exist. I think people have a right to exist. So, yeah, I think that's uncontroversial that we should unrecognise a state, an ethno-state, an apartheid ethno-state that is committing a genocide on Palestinian people.
But you support recognising Palestine.
Well, like not like kind
No?
of like it's. I think it's a cowardly move by Albanese to like recognize the rubble that he helped create, and while he does that, while he recognizes Palestine, still supplies and arms Israel to help bomb the Palestinians. I think I don't think that's going to help the Palestinian people whatsoever.
Do you think having Hamas running Gaza will help the Palestinian people?
Well, I don't think that's relevant to the people that are being killed by the state of Israel. Like, I don't think who runs the people being killed is the relevant question here.
But why did this war start?
Why do you think it started?
Because on October 7, thousands of Hamas
Do you think it
terrorists
started on October
and
7? Do you think the
Palestinians
genocide of
raided
Palestinians started on
Israel,
October 7?
broke into the country through multiple places, by air, by land, by sea, massacred hundreds of young people at a music festival, took
I think it was actually the IDF
250...
that massacred them under the Hannibal Directive. But this started in
That is
1948.
So do you deny the atrocities of October 7?
1948. That's not up for debate.
So you just said you actually think Hamas didn't kill civilians, it was the IDF? Is that what you're claiming?
The IDF killed a significantly higher proportion of Israeli civilians than Hamas did on October 7. That's incontroversial.
That is so false. Let me ask you this. Do you consider Hamas a terrorist organization?
I think that's not relevant.
How is that not relevant? That is the fundamental point. As long as you have a terrorist organization controlling Gaza, they will wage endless wars against Israel, massacring civilians. They have said they will commit October 7 as many times as is required to annihilate the state of Israel and, by extension, the Jewish people. If you can't see that that is the definition of terrorism and the biggest barrier in the path to peace in the Middle East, then I don't know what planet you're living on.
All right. Let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with Nelson Mandela?
Of course.
Okay. Well, I'm going to use his words to kind of answer your question here. But Nelson Mandela said, and this is true, that if you have a problem with the means, so the means that the oppressed use to resist their oppressor, they're determined by the oppressor. So if you have a problem with the means used to resist the oppressor, then you should condemn and you should criticize the oppressor for getting rid of all means of resistance except violence. That's the only means that the Palestinians have to resist their genocidal oppressors. And if you have a problem with that, then your condemnation should lie with the oppressor.
What I have a problem with is the murder of innocent civilians on October 7th.
I have a problem with that too. And you know who's doing
because
that?
they're
Israel.
Jewish. Israel is acting in self-defense,
Israel is the one who's sending the Apache
incredible
helicopters
measures
to kill all those people.
to protect civilians. If you don't see October 7 as terrorism, then I don't even know what to say to you. And ultimately, this war could have been ended. All these civilian lives could have been saved if Hamas had laid down its weapons and given back the hostages and committed to building Gaza without
Hamas
radicalism.
has literally offered at least 4 times to return all of the hostages, and Israel has said no every single time.
That is plainly false.
This is
Hamas is
counterfactual. I don't know where you're getting this from.
Look, thank you so much, Jordan. We're out of time now. Thank you for coming on this show. We really appreciate your time. Have a good evening.
Thanks for having me.